In this song, This I Believe, we actually have about 5 different chords that we need to be familiar with. Now, in the arrangement of the song, these are going to be used in different ways, and so we'll look at the patterns that are really going to be helpful to us as musicians to kind of lock in and internalize how we play it. Let's go ahead and look at the song. Here we are, key of G. All right, so G chord, which we'll get to eventually within our chord progressions, is going to be a G, B, and a D. There's our 3 notes for a G chord. We are also going to use an A minor, okay? So an A minor is built on A, C, and E, right there. And we will do a G over B at certain points. And those are going to be many times quick passing chords that we'll use. G over B, so the same G chord that we just played a minute ago, but then a B in our bass note. All right. We've got a C chord as well. So C, E, and G, making up our C chord. Then we have a D chord, D, F sharp, and A for D, and then E minor, E, G, and B, E minor. There's our chords and the variations that we'll use. Now, very few, hardly any of these chords we're going to play in the positions that I just did, which is root position, where the lowest note of the 3 is that chord name. We're going to arrange them and flip them around a little bit. And as we start the song, we're going to be playing on a C, all right? So our first chord progression is a C and then E minor to a D, first 3 chords. So our C we're going to play up high, where we're going to have G, C, and E. So it's a C in a second inversion, right like that. So we're going to voice it out this way, and then we go up to a E in the second inversion as well, right like that. E, so B, E, and G, all right? So we've kind of flipped them around to where the root note, the E of the E minor chord, is the middle note. And then we go down to a D, second inversion. So it's like this, A, D, F sharp, all right? So one more time, that sequence of a C, and then an E minor, and then a D, all right? Now, for the G over B, we have 2 different ways that we're going to play this chord, 2 different positions. All right, so that first time that we come to the G over B in this chord progression of the intro, we hit the C and E minor and the D, and then we're going to go to a high, like a second inversion G over B. So the B is actually the high note on this chord, so D, B, D, G, B. And then coming back down to the C, and then the E minor, D. Now the second time we hit the G over B, we're going to play it down here, actually in that root position. So G, B, D. And so it kind of just loops around in this, because we use this chord progression in the intro, and we use it with a slight difference in the verses, and then we use the exact same intro chord progression in our bridge. So that makes it easy that we're kind of consistent that way, but we also want to play these inversion patterns the same way. So let's try going through this. So we've got C, and then E minor, and then D. And remember, now it's the high G over B, then back to the C, and then the E minor, now to the D, the lower of the G over B. Okay, and now we've gone all the way through the chord pattern. All right, so that's what we have for the intro, the verse, and then the bridge. Now when we get to the chorus, we're going to play a G chord, but we play it in a first inversion. So here's our normal root position G. You take that G, flip it up top. So we're playing B, D, and G. Okay, so that is our opening chord to the chorus. G, and then to an A minor. So it's really just kind of walking everything up a step from where we were on the G. C, E, A. So you got the G, and then the A minor, and then down to a C, second inversion like we did before, okay? And then to a D, E minor, okay? And so that's just kind of our pattern. G to the A minor, to the C, to D, D, E minor. That's how we really want to voice consistently every chorus that we come to. I will mention one way that you can kind of bring a variation to what your right hand does up high like this. As you're playing out these chord positions, yes, you're using the 3 notes of the chord, and maybe you're playing it, for instance, that chorus G, the B, D, G, but you don't necessarily need to have all 3 of those notes present. And so a little more of an open voicing approach would be to leave out the inner note. Leave the middle note out of your voicing. So you're playing the G normally like this, but leave out the D. So you're kind of leaving the highest and the lowest notes of all of those chord positions, if that makes sense. So G, and leave out that, and then here would be your A minor. You're not playing the E. And for the C, you're playing just the G and the E, not the C in the middle. And then for your F, like this, you're not playing the D in the middle. And then back to your E. So that's a little bit more of a sparse open sound, but it really can work nicely if you're just trying to sit in the mix a little bit and add some good chord structure. So sounds a little bit like this: A minor to the C, and then the D, E minor. And even for a G over B, just the G and the D. You don't have to add in the B. So it's one approach to use, especially even on the chorus and other places that you want more of a sparse sound. So what we'll do then lastly is look at the bridge. Even though the chord progression is the same, we're playing a right hand melody over top of that. Now, looking at the chords, we're going to use a little bit of that structure, those 3 notes maybe that make up the chord, as kind of our grid to follow the melody for it. So we're going to play, it starts off on a C chord, but we're going to start our melody, right hand melody note, on an E. Okay? And what we're going to do is play the 3 notes that outline the shape of an E minor chord. That's our second chord in that progression. So we had a E, and then a G, and then a B, and then come back down to the G. You have 4 notes in a row. So E, G, B, G. Okay? So 2 chords happen underneath that for your bass note. So you've got E, G, and then you change to the E minor chord underneath, but it's just a bass carrying that. So B in the right hand, B, G. So watch that real closely here. You got the E, G, and then B, G. That's the first 2. And now you're going to go to a D chord, and it follows the D chord shape. So D, F sharp, but now bass is going to go to B, so G over B, and then it's a in the right hand. So a few things to follow here. A to G. So you've got on that again the D, D, F sharp, A, G. One more time. D, F sharp, A, G. We're going to put those 2 kind of positions together from the top of that bridge. Here we go on the C chord, but E in the right hand. So you've got E, G, B, G. Now D, F sharp, A, G. And repeat that. E, G, B, G, D, F sharp, A, G. All right? So you want to practice that, and you just kind of lock into looping around those melody notes as you go through. Now you notice I just kind of made my left hand work around what my right hand was doing. I was able to play an octave on the C, right? So I've got space to do that, and then the E. But now for the D, I don't want to play an octave D because I need that D note. So I'm playing just the 1 and the 5. So I'm keeping my hand a little bit in the same position, but now here's my D, back to the octave for the G over B. All right, so that just is an example of how you've got to adopt, just the space that you have to work with, depending on what your right hand is doing if you're jumping around all these melody notes. And then you're back to the chorus after doing all of those melody notes in the bridge, and you're back to the G in that root position. Okay? Lots of chords to go through on that, but you want to be consistent as you play through it. Go with the play along video several times through and watch just connecting section to section, and you'll play all the chords and exact positions that you'll need for the song, This I Believe.